Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We have a huge panel today. I'm Harvey Freed. Alongside of me, Harry Glanz.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Starting out hardcore. I like the music coming right in there. Hardcore, rock and roll, 9 a.m., Saturday morning. Craziness.
We're going to wake you up if not. And to my right, we're sharing actually a microphone today because we have a full house. It's Becky Alley, of course. Good morning, Becky.
Hey, everybody. Me and Harvey are going to be the best of friends. It looks like something with a head on it right now.
Sorry about that. John Kolb joins us from Capital Mortgage Funding.
What is up, everybody?
And our special guest, boy, it's always great to have Renee on. Renee Lacia from Keller Williams Luxury Domain. And, of course, I'll just say Birmingham and all of Southeast Michigan.
That's it. That's perfect.
Perfect stuff. There you go.
Harvey, how many of Renee's family members do you know?
I think I know the whole team there.
You
We
know
her
everybody,
team.
right? You know everybody there, and her whole family.
Great people.
We're just talking about cousins. We're going over Renee's family tree today because she has an extensive network.
I don't even know all of them, quite frankly.
There you go. Been in the business a long time. A staple in metropolitan Detroit, Birmingham, Bloomfield area, Woodward Corridor.
We'll get right into it here, Harry. January 23rd, of course, 2023 out there. I mean, I call it the dead of winter. We got some more snow coming. There's some action this week, but still great opportunities. Maybe, Renee, we're thinking there's a little window here, January and February, where people can start looking at houses.
You also have John Kolb here, buddy.
I already introduced John, didn't I?
Yeah.
I'm old. John, John, I'm so old, I can't even hear.
Harry, it's Saturday.
I don't know. Knock, knock. It's early onset. It's coming.
Renee will dive in. That 2-month window, I'm trying to tell folks, look, this winter right now, this little bit of time here, you won't have as much competition. It's true, isn't it?
Absolutely, and we are telling our clients the very same thing. So traditionally in this market, you have the spring market comes. That's usually when the excitement hits. We've got March, April, May as our highest selling seasons, and it is typically when you have the highest amount of inventory. However, we tell our clients, people are still looking. That pent-up demand is still an issue. Hang on, we have mic check.
Oh, we're okay. There you go.
There we go. And so if you are looking to buy or sell, right now the inventory is still lower, but if you're getting in February, you are getting ahead of the market. Why wait for the demand to increase along with the supply? The people who are there, who are looking in the fall, didn't find anything through the winter. We just sold 3 houses this week, and we are telling our clients the exact same thing. Do not wait till the competition is at its peak. Get in ahead of it, prepare your house, and get sold before everybody, runs to the same door.
I'm going to piggyback on what you're saying. Before I get into that, can we talk about what a freaking absolute professional Renee is? Not only do microphones fall off in her hand, I'm over there adjusting it. She doesn't miss a beat because she knows what she's talking about, everybody. So if you're out there, give us a call, 248-539-9797, because you have a legend in the studio. She's a great person, and she knows what she's talking about. So there's that. But to that point, I'm seeing, though, that the people that were taking advantage of, I feel like there's like a 2-week window where buyers could really, really get in there and take advantage of getting concessions and things like that. But over the last 2 weeks, I've seen where concessions are getting beat out a little bit. You're starting to see that competition come in more so because it was and it has been truly a seller's market.
Absolutely. And everything plays a role in timing, right? So when you have this market around the holidays where people are sort of shut down, it's as though the lights turn back on after the first of the year. But there's still this lag. And because people are still mentally in the traditional market time, waiting for that March market, they're missing their opportunity. So we are consistently talking to people about getting in front of their market. Get in front of what you're doing and don't wait for it, because everyone is still, the inventory's been low for the last 2 years. And that pent-up demand hasn't gone anywhere. It still hasn't been absorbed. So people are ready. They are waiting for that house to come on. As soon as it comes, if you are priced right, and that, Becky, as you know, is still the driving force. In any market, price will drive your demand. That is an unchanged, untimely. That is what you need to always make sure. But if you're ready to do that now, there's no point in waiting. There just isn't.
Nope. And I can't stand when people say I'm waiting for the rates to come down. It just drives me bonkers. Listen, people, and I'm not a charts data guy, but Harry will tell you I am. But there are all this data out there telling you that if you wait and appreciation continues to grow like they're saying it's going to grow, you're going to miss out on $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 of equity by the third quarter of this year. So can you get into something at 6% right now? Yes. Can you get into something at 4.5 in 6-9 months? Maybe. But at that point, you're also going to get higher equity. Higher prices. So what you should do, buy now, and then in 6-9 months, if rates come down, let us bring you back. Refinance. Low-cost refinancing all day long.
I think playing that speculation game is a dangerous game if you're in the market to buy a house. You can't predict the future, and I'm going to tell you here, rates are not going to go to 4.5. I don't care what anybody says.
Right.
You can ask every expert in mortgage banking, and 90% will tell you they're not going to 4.5. I don't care who you talk to, they're not. So if somebody's telling you they're going to go to 4.5, they're not going to go to 4.5 this year. All right, just not going to happen because it's just they're going to raise rates again, and John is not going to believe it when I say this. They're going to raise them 1/4 to 1/2 next time, and then they're going to think about raising them again. So there's 2 more raises coming in my world. If I'm wrong, that really means I'm right because I win both ways, right, John? You know I hate that.
Harry plays the fence.
Okay,
I got a stat for you guys.
And then also, they've only raised them 7 times right now.
Only
in 7 times in a year. Okay, so
seems like a lot.
You think they're going to go down really, really fast? No, they always go up faster than they come down.
Well, wait. But they have come down pretty fast. I mean, we were closing people closer to 7.25 in November, December because of that craziness. And now they're already coming all the way back down to 6. So I got to be on the other side of this one, Harry, that there is an opportunity, and I don't think they're going to go down to 4.5 either.
Thank you. That's all I'm saying.
But they have come down fairly quickly back to reality because of what the Fed has done. I don't want to say anything wrong. Because of what the Fed has done. Right, they've raised them so quickly, and the inflation numbers were wrong. They scaled those back. So what happens? Rates come scaling back quickly.
But my point is, if you're waiting for them to come down to 4.5, it's not going to happen.
100. Yeah,
not within the next 18 months.
I don't care what the rates are going to go to. Don't wait.
Okay, here's the thing: 63% of mortgages right now are under 4%. 63% are under 4% because we've been in a 10-year refi boom. Those are the facts. So to Renee, right? You're now talking about the move-up buyer. What are they're going to stay in their house because they've outgrown it just because they have a low interest rate? No, they're not. What are you talking? You're going to keep that mortgage, rent it out, and then you're moving up to the next spot, right?
There's so much opportunity. And the mantra that we continue to say is date the rate, marry the house. It's simple. The reality is they are going to go down or they aren't going to go down. Either way, it's not going to happen in the next 6 months. It's not going to happen in the next 9 months. So if you're looking to buy a house within the next 12 months, the best thing you can do is take advantage of the rates that are there. There's still historical lows. That's the part that cracks me up.
Right.
There's still historical lows. We're just spoiled by the 3% teasers that we had out there. You capture that house, and during your marriage to that home, if you will, or in your stay of the typical 5 to 7 years that people stay in their home, you will have the opportunity to refi. They will eventually adjust. But in the next 12 months, if you're playing this waiting game and trying to straddle the fence to figure out when the perfect timing is, there's no such thing. You'll not capture it. And if you wait for the rates to go down, what happens to houses, everybody? The prices are going to go up. So would you rather have something that fluctuates that you know you can move the needle on and refi? Or do you want to capture a price point that you are now stuck with permanently until you go to sell that house?
I would rather be in my house, call it a day, see what happens, and then if rates come down, go ahead and adjust my rate by refinancing.
Right.
That's what I would tell people to do. Go ahead, make the move, and like you said, I don't know, when I see rates in the 6s, I'm ecstatic.
It's not
because I
bad.
wipe out the last 2 years. I wipe out 20 and 21 and say it's almost a normal market in terms of interest rates.
And to Becky's point, if you're in some kind of great rate, you got a 2.5%, 3%, something outrageous, you take that and you leverage that as an investment opportunity. If you can, you keep that. The rental market is extremely strong because the other problem is we have a bottleneck in inventory. So people don't want to move until they find something because they're scared that there's nothing out there. So if you have an opportunity that you can financially keep that lower rate, rent out that property, you're adding to your portfolio. Real estate in these areas, it's stable. It will come up and down to some degree, but the fluctuation is minimal compared to the overall investment.
All right, it might be a little bit too soon to declare a victory on lower interest rates, but we don't know. 2023 is just kicking off. Of course, we're at the end of January, 1 month behind us. and we'll see where things go. And of course, we always bring in that inventory situation. So we talked earlier again, we'll just say our topic here for the first quarter, we were definitely talking about inventory and opportunity. So wrap your head around it, folks. This is a house. This is a long-term investment. This is your family growing the roots, meeting your friends and all your new neighbors and building strong communities. So all the great things about home ownership, it's not always about the rate and the payment. I mean, come on, you go out for dinner now, it's hard to get out of there without $150, $200. So how can you let an interest rate dictate the joy your family's going to have in a wonderful house? Again, this is a little bit different. We're not talking about buying a car, a Range Rover, or a new Mercedes. We're talking, or a new Ford pickup or something cool like that. We're talking about housing, folks, and you got to go ahead and do the right thing and get that team together.
Yeah. What I was going to say is, as a loan officer, it's advice over price on our side of things. If you're selling rate, you're doing it wrong, because what we are adding is a value. I had a really good conversation with a first-time home buyer. Her husband owns a home. It's going to be her first time doing it. But we talked about what their goals are right now, but also 5 years from now, how they're going to leverage the home that her husband has as an investment property, what they're going to do with their new home, and how they're going to now, in 5 years, collect 10 homes in the next 5 years, and how we're going to do that. So keep it right here. You're listening to the Hardcore Mortgage Show, 248-539-9797. We're going to take all your calls when you come back. We got Renee in the house. Don't miss out.
Is it too high? Is that what's happening?
No, so like that microphone is sensitive, so
There you go. Welcome back to the show. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We are powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, NMLS 2289, Equal Housing Lender. Hey, we take all your calls, 248-539-9797. Renee Lacia joins us from Keller Williams Luxury Domain. Unbelievable office. When you're talking about experience, this is the show you want to listen to. So come and join us again, 248-539-9797. Guys jumping in?
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, Harry's got his sunglasses on. It's like he's playing Texas Hold'em over there.
I'm chilling.
Just,
Harry wants to go with
we
his-
have so much experience in this room that it just makes me feel good to be part of this panel. That's all I'm telling you right now. I feel real good about it. So let's get into a little Fact or Fiction. We had Fact or Fiction on our podcast on Wednesday, Renee, and we're going to open it up to you because I think every situation, every area, specifically metropolitan Detroit, is different. What might be hot in one area might not be hot in another area. So let's get into a little 3-question Fact or Fiction with you. Fact or Fiction? There are more homes on the market now than a month ago. Fact or fiction?
Fact.
Yeah. And why is that?
Well, you had a lot of people, first of all, taking their homes off the market during the holiday season. So traditionally, people love to do that. I always think it's a mistake and try to tell
Yeah,
people
why do people
not
do
to.
that? I need to know.
Well,
I mean,
Well,
I
it's not
understand,
like-
but
it's
they
not like-
they don't want people tramping through their house during the holidays.
yeah, but no one ever wants people tramping through their house, you know. So I guess like in the whole like
Except for
mentality,
your in-laws, right?
the mentality of like March. I'm going to wait till March. Like, what is the magic thing about March? So part of that Fact or Fiction.
Becky, I'm right there with you. So
Okay.
my suggestion to my clients all the time is everybody else takes their house off the market. Keep your house on the market. The reality is there's less demand, right? Because people who are looking at homes over holidays at that time of year are few and far between. But the ones that are, these are serious buyers. They are not tire kickers. They need to likely be in a home very quickly. So the selection level is way lower. And then on top of that, you have the opportunity to be the last man standing. So I tell my clients not to do it unless they absolutely need to. And I will tell you that it continues to be a very strong January month for me every year because I'm one of the few people that that advises their clients. Some people don't want to deal with it, family, kids are in town, whatever. That I can understand. But if you can handle the couple of showings, absolutely. It goes back to what we were saying before. Why would you want to be at the highest level of competition instead of running your marathon with basically only a couple other people jogging around, on the street? So that's number one. Traditionally in Michigan, in every area and location, you have to be specific to the area you are. Like Florida, for example, has a completely reverse
Crazy.
reverse timeline than we do. So in Michigan, it's traditionally these are Midwest family communities for the most part. They want to show their homes March, April, May. Things typically will look prettier in the spring and the summer, and buy their home by, say, June, July, be into their new home by August so that the kids and the
Kids go
family
back to
can
school.
settle and start school. And if you have to register for school, you have to have that purchase agreement and that deed in order to register. So that's
By
part
a
of it.
certain date, right?
By a certain date,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
that's
So the
why
fact
that's
is, in Renee's world, there are more homes on the market right now. Question number 2, fact or fiction? Home prices are coming down, Renee.
Again, there are 3 words in real estate: location, location, location. It all depends on where. Even though, Harry, that yes, they have gone up a little bit, slightly, not significantly, but slightly, because homes are coming back to the market, or people who are waiting for the spring we're convincing to come onto the market now. But we're not talking about some huge flood of houses. I mean, if it's gone up a margin by 5 or 10%, that's probably all we're talking about.
But they're not coming down.
But they are not necessarily, they're stabilizing. They are coming, maybe, if we were looking year over year from last year, those prices were really, really inflated. So I'm telling people, and what we're hearing is, consider 2019. If you're going to remove 2020, 21, and 22 from the world of history,
Yes.
and go back to these more normalized, economies, that's what you look at. So we're back to 2019 in a sense of, you get some time to price your home, you get some time to show it, you get some time to buy it. And so the prices have adjusted, but they are certainly not coming down, and they're not going to.
Beautiful. I love it. Question number 3, last question on fact or fiction. Fact or fiction, question 3, sellers, fact or fiction. Sellers are less demanding than 6 months ago.
That's going to depend on your seller.
It's so great because we had these questions. These questions were asked and answered the same way on the podcast and the same way Renee answered them. It's amazing.
All right, 248-539-9796. We take your calls live here on the Hartsville Mortgage Real Estate and Business Show. Easy for me to say. Ali in Canton, you're calling in about a refinance. Good morning. Welcome to our show.
Morning, sir.
How you doing?
Good. So I bought my house 21 for $490. It's a 3,200 square foot warehouse. I did a full rehab, and I'm at a 3.3% right now.
Congratulations. You're in great shape. What are you thinking about doing?
Well, I wanted to get a loan to pay off my credit card debt, which was like $70,000. When I applied for the loans, like, you can't because you have too much income to debt ratio. I'm like, okay, so I paid off. I borrowed money from family. I paid off all my credit cards, so I have 0 debt to income ratio right now.
Well, not quite. You got a mortgage payment, but that's okay.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm at, besides my mortgage and my car payment, if you want to say. What are my options? Can I combine my wife's income with my income to get higher? Because my house is worth $750, $800 easily.
I mean,
after the rehab.
So we can use your wife's income. I mean, if we use your wife's income, we got to use her credit too. So it could be,
yes.
Depends on how her credit and her income is. But if you don't want to add your wife to the loan, we could always look, now that you've got all that credit card debt paid off, we can also look at, whether you qualify just on your own now. It's quite fun. It's funny to me that someone said you didn't qualify with all that credit card debt, because in the event that you're doing a refinance to pull some cash out to pay off that credit card debt, you don't have to use that. You don't have to use those payments in your debt to income ratio. So obviously you made a call to the wrong company who didn't give you the best advice, but we're here to fix that like we always do. Becky talks about this all the time, that we're always, we're always here to help make sure that we're going to get you out. But you let us know what you need. Ali, it was great talking to you. I think we just lost him. But you let us know what you need. We're here to make sure that we put you in the right position. 3.3 on $490,000. Great rate. But does it make sense to get you into a new rate?
But what's he needed for? I mean,
what's
the purpose?
I've got to imagine he's going to pay off
his family back now.
He's paying his family back for the credit card debt.
Yeah.
So, but now we go back and we say, okay, what was the payment on those credit card debts? What were you paying? Because that 3.3 doesn't mean anything if you're paying 17, 18, 19% on the credit cards. So can we get you into a 6% interest rate on a 30-year fixed, and we're still saving you a couple $100 or $1,000 a month because we got rid of that credit card debt and we put it at a lower rate?
Look, I'm thinking he's getting a home equity loan. I'm not walking away. It's probably a serious loan amount on the first mortgage that he's got now. I'm thinking home equity loan all the way. We're going to follow up with him or anyone who's in that situation. It's key that you just give us a call at the office, 1-800-LOW-RATE. Let us break this down for you. I really, Becky, I'm thinking that a home equity loan, give him a quick fix here. It's something he can consolidate as much as I want to do a new first mortgage for him.
Wait. Home equity loans are never quick fixes. You have to ask the client how long it's going to take them to pay it back, right? Because a home equity loan could be worse for them.
Hey, he just said he paid off all his debt in like a month or two, so maybe he has.
He borrowed it from family.
Well, you got
to listen to your clients.
Boys. Okay, it's situational. Everyone's situation is completely different, so it's about he made the right call. You're talking to the right professionals. We're going to reach out to you after the show. We're going to find out what really are your goals now and in the future, not just looking at your nose, but what are you looking at down the road? Does an equity line make sense for you, or does a cash out refinance? Because people get really caught up on my current rate is XYZ, and we just talked about that right before the first break. It doesn't really matter. You're not going to stay in a situation just because you have a really good rate, and then you're going to pay God knows how much in credit card debt. Now you owe family, who I hate when I owe people money. So we're going to talk about it, and we're going to figure out what's going to hook up Ali for the future.
What I love, what just happened here, is what makes my heart go pitter-pat. The fact that there are professionals like you guys out there that are challenging, not just running into, here's a quick fix, here's what we're going to do. You're talking about it, you're thinking about it, you're talking about options. The moral of the story is when you have professionals like you guys out there, which are not always the same, we know that, Becky, John, Harvey, Harry, when you have people like this who are going to look at so many different options, the messaging is this. There are options. And I think that's where people fail to understand, or they're hearing one thing. And having you guys just watching that was fun.
Yeah, this isn't a program du jour kind of thing. And we really have to dive into what are his goals and objectives. What is the reason he needs to do this? What are the options for him? And then we'll set him up for success. Now, he'll pick, right? He'll pick which road he wants to go down. He'll have options, but we want to set him up for success. Not tomorrow, not next week, but years from now.
That's where it's advice over price.
Yeah,
and that's really what it comes down to. And we're not afraid to tell you no. Like, we're no one's out here desperate. We don't need to do every single loan that comes on our lap because sometimes it doesn't make sense for the client. And we're never going to put someone in a bad position for $5 or whatever. And like, I don't care. No one cares in this room about the money. It's about the success and setting you up for the future, your family, because at the end of the day, you have to put your head on your pillow knowing that you did what was best for your clients, because sometimes a no turns into 10 yeses.
I mean, Mother Hen Becky just stepped in and shut two brothers
that.
down. I've known Harvey since I was 13 years old.
Well,
So and
that
Becky
explains
stepped in and
explains a lot, brother.
See,
It
she
does.
settled things down.
I shouldn't admit that on
Let
air.
me wrap out the cash out refinance. Yeah, consolidating loans, paying off property taxes. Hey, those property taxes, December 1st, they came out. Maybe you don't have an escrow account set up. Income taxes, of course, it's tax season, folks. So take a look. Maybe call your CPA and find out what's going on. You got bad debts out there. Find out what you can do to help yourself. It's as easy as that. You call the professionals, you kick it around, you get some opinions, and then you can figure it out. And I like what Becky says. It's situational. Everyone's got a different lifestyle.
For sure. And but it does make sense. So for example, I have a refinance right now working. He's a VA veteran. He wanted to use his benefits. He needed to use his benefits. He overextended himself. He bought a house. You fixed up the house. Now he has just a plethora of debt, and he was in a situation over the last 2 years with COVID and that kind of situation where he couldn't work like he wanted to. And now we're saving him $1,500 a month and putting him on a 15-year fix, reducing his rate and his overall debt. So it makes sense for the right people, but he made the right call. It just starts with a conversation. So again, we're butting up to another break, but keep it here. We got Renee in the house, 248-539-9797. If you're a first-time home buyer out there, we want to hear from you specifically. What has your experience been like? Because we want to dissect that and how we can make it better.
All right, welcome back to the show. It's a Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. If you're listening in, it's 9:30. And not too bad of a day outside. We've got a great panel for you. Of course, Renee Lacia joins us from Keller Williams, Luxury Domain. And you are listening, of course, to the #1 mortgage and real estate show. Of course, Capital Mortgage Funding. If you want to work with us, luxury lender for over 30 years here. Again, if you need that jumbo, make sure you reach out to us. Best overall value, that's for sure. When you deal with a top-notch mortgage banker, you get all the experience, you get the knowledge, and then you get to save money on the whole transaction. That's what's key. It's the whole transaction, making sure that every facet of this house is fantastic. Harry's got a few things to ask you, Renee, but something came up because I've got a lot of buyers lately, and there's home inspections happening, and it's weird. Everyone was talking about not doing these home inspections. Well, every house that I'm getting a purchase, there's something going on with that house. So I just want you to comment on that, and Harry's got a few things to. There's no doubt with the due diligence, these houses are old. I mean, look, there's snow on my roof. My house is cracking and making some weird noises.
Nobody should ever buy a house without an inspection. That was something that people were doing because they were, there were multiple offers, and what can we do to capture this house? There's nothing that's worth that risk. When you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars to purchase a house and you're not going to have it reviewed, none of my clients bought without inspecting, and we still got the houses. There are ways around that. So especially now that things have calmed down, you have the opportunity to do the proper due diligence, to get an appraisal, to get an inspection. There's absolutely no reason anybody should consider making that kind of purchase without it.
Yeah, we bring this up right now because we're going to be going into the spring market where Michigan tends to heat up. If your agent is suggesting that you're going to go ahead of the pile by waiving a private home inspection, just if you're listening to this, you need to reevaluate that relationship, and you need to push back on that conversation, because once you own that house, it's yours. Yeah. And when you get that $10,000 bill because you have roots in your sewer line, you're going to wish you would have reevaluated that conversation when you had it. I had a buyer. He was buying a property that had a septic and well, and he didn't want to get the water tested. And I pushed him back, and not even the agent. I said, "What are you doing?" I go, "It's $150 to make sure you don't have arsenic in your water. That should be like a no-brainer. If you don't pay for it, I'll pay for it. Invoice us, and we'll put it in on the closing disclosure, because it makes sense, because I can in good conscience know that I'm not telling people. It's about telling what they need to hear, not what they want to hear all the time."
Yeah, we've heard the stories where they didn't get the inspection and they got the house, but then 2-3 months later, they ended up paying thousands of dollars for things that could have appeared on the inspection before that maybe the seller would have paid for, or maybe they would have come to an agreement to split it. And you just never want to waive it. You can do a pass-fail inspection. Go ahead without renegotiation.
So many ways to get around that.
But you know how to do it. We know how to do it. And the fact of the matter is, really everybody, you've heard us say this for 30-some years, never, ever buy a property without a home inspection. But there will be one time that if you're a licensed builder, contractor going into a property and you're going to do all the work yourself and you're Mr. Professional Fix-It guy, okay. But you're going to have to convince me and show me your licenses and all that kind of stuff before I say okay. But, I would never, ever recommend to a client, Renee, that I couldn't sleep at night. It wouldn't be in good conscience.
And that's where in every market, especially the one that we just came out of, having an expert team, not just your realtor, but your mortgage lender, your inspector, the people who are your team, your village that are going to get this across the finish line are important, because we're all going to pick up something different. When you have a professional that understands the nuances of, let's say, a competing offer, you can still build in an inspection. You can do a pass-fail. You can limit it to 2 or 3 days. You can have your inspector lined up prior to making that offer so that you can do it within 24 hours. You can put an amount on it. Cannot exceed $5,000 for any, or cannot be below $5,000 for a requested repair. So you can put in there, it is specific to structural, mechanical, and environmental issues. If you have an experienced professional that is working with you, it's not about removing that contingency or that issue. It's how you're going to navigate it to capture the price and protect yourself at the same time.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, actually. Team Real Estate Offices, you guys got a new office. We're going to talk to you about that. Transaction coordinators, newer agents can learn from these teams, and you can't be at two places at once. So we're seeing more and more of this collaboration, even within the real estate offices. So quick question to you, how's the new office coming, and what do you see going on here over the next couple months?
Yeah. It's amazing. So we now have 2 locations, Birmingham and Bloomfield, and that is the truth. I mean, Harvey, it is about collaboration. Not all offices are that way, and not all agents have that mentality. There is somewhat of a scarcity mentality in the real estate world of, I can't give you my secret sauce because it's mine. And we don't do that. The office that I'm partnered in, that we specifically at KW Domain are very intentional about growth an opportunity for all of our agents. We want to not just be the personal professional, but our company to be that way. So the training and the teaching and the advancement that we do in continuing to have our industry professionals, especially the domain professionals, show up and know the kind of things that we're talking about. And that's been paramount to not just our success, but the success of our company, and it does not go anywhere.
Well, you're clearly pouring into your people, and it shows. And there's people that ask me, like, well, what's your secret sauce? I'm like, I am my secret sauce. I'm my own secret sauce boss, just like you're your own secret sauce boss. Like, I can tell you all my tricks in the trade, but you're not going to hear them and you're not going to execute them the way that I do. But if you can pick one or two things up from a legend like yourself, why not? It's taking a little bit from every little person and making it your own, because your cheap BS is not going to get me to the same place.
Nope.
But I feel like sometimes right now the ones that don't know any better almost do better, because they're not that hesitation. Like, if they don't have that hesitation, they feel like they're the ones that are being successful. You don't have to know everything to be successful. You just have to be in proximity with the right people that want to see you grow and flourish. And you're no doubt a leader that's giving the people the platform and the light to do that.
That's the key. It's not about knowing everything. It's about knowing the right people and helping get your client what they need. And that experience, if you have a client who says, I'm looking to, they want to waive an inspection, or how do I do an escalation clause, being able to pull that resource to help your that's the win-win, right? And not everybody has that mentality. That's why working with mortgage lenders like yourself and having a lender that's on your team and on your side, if you're running into a hurdle, we can say, hey, Becky, hey, John, what do we do here? And we come up with those solutions. That's how people don't always think. And that's the solution and the secret sauce to success.
What the beautiful thing, though, is that, like, I didn't have a mentor like that. You know, it's almost like we got, like, fly, see what happens. Right. And I feel like we are the next generation that is reaching down and pulling the next people up with us, because I know myself and everyone in this room, when I leave this industry, I want to leave it better than I found it. And there's a lot of things that were broken in it, but I feel like there's a lot of things that are amazing in it. And I feel like people like yourselves, us in this room, we are changing the face of what lending looks like, what real estate truly looks like, and the future of it.
It's scary because people think they don't need you. We are not considered always, not that they can get their own mortgage or their own house, but that's the fear, and that's the mistake I think people make.
Well, but I think you're right that even they don't think that they need you, and they can go to any McDonald's on the corner and just pick from the menu, and that's what they are going to get for their mortgage. And that's just not the case. Like we were talking before, it's situational, and it depends on what the person has going on in their everyday life, of what kind of mortgage they're going to need, what kind of real estate advice they're going to need. And you can't just do that by going to the Zillow agents or the Redfin agents or the slappies that have headsets on and just talk to you 500 times a day because they have nothing else to do, and that's their job, to just call out, and once they get you, they pass you on to the next person. We are here from start to finish 2-3 years after you close. We're here giving you advice. I've got people text me right now about their mortgage payment that I quoted them the other day. And that's just what we do, because we're here to make a difference.
If you take a look historically at the smartest people in any industry, they've always had a team behind them. They've never done anything by themselves. You cannot grow just by somebody watering you. You have to be able to water everybody around you so you grow together and you expand. That's how this works. And people that don't understand a team atmosphere, boil it down to football this week. All right? Takes a team to win. One person might be the best player on the team, but if that person doesn't have all those people around him, they're not going to win together. So you need, if you want to be successful, you need a team around you, and that includes buying and selling a home. You need to have a team around you to help you do those things, because you cannot do it yourself and get the maximum out of it that you could get.
A real leader is going to surround themselves with people that are better than them. Because if you walk in a room and you're the smartest person in the room, I need to be in another room, because I'm not going to elevate myself, and I constantly can't be elevating the people around me. And that's obviously the foundation that you are building both your branches on.
Renee, I like this piece. 28 to 32%, somewhere in those numbers, are the first-time home buyers. And whether they're younger or they've done this one or two times, it's still that educational piece. I think the most rewarding thing I've seen over the last 2 years that this pandemic sort of brought out is now they're focusing on knowledge and education. It's something that for years I even thought the agents were sort of stepping away from. It was all about getting that sale, and they were never able to differentiate themselves from the other agents. Now we're seeing where knowledge pays off. Get the smarter folks behind you, and And then these purchase agreements are generally the same blank forms that I've been looking at for about 31 years now, but there's an additional comment section, and that's the key. You brought it up before, and you threw it out there, and if people didn't catch it, there's a lot of great language that you can put on a purchase agreement. It protects everyone. Sellers like to have it, buyers like to have it, the agents, everything's spelled out for you. That's the difference between the pros and the people just getting in who aren't really prepared.
Right now is not the kind of market, and this has been true for the last few years. You need to have experts behind you because it is a very, we call it a shifting market, right? So we are shifting. We're shifting from a very high market to, a high sellers market. We're shifting back into like a balance between buyers and sellers. That's the good news, by the way. The balanced market is what everybody should be looking for. It should never be a clear advantage to a buyer or a clear advantage to the seller. That makes for a mess, and we saw that in 2022. The balance that we're seeing is based on inventory, and it's based on interest rate. It's a little bit of everything that's building that in. So to have that creates the opportunity for both sides. But the ultimate difference is having an agent who has seen all of this, or at least enough of it. People who didn't know 2007, 8, 9 had no idea what to do. The fun part is this is all recycled stuff, you guys.
Yeah.
When we're talking about refis and we're talking about, an ARM, a 3-year, a 5-year, an interest only, this is not new stuff. These are things that we're just pulling back out of our bag of tricks because it's about the math and the messaging. So the math and the messaging is the only thing that changes in the market, giving people different opportunities to, the interest rate is high, so I don't want to buy. Well, here's my magic wand. What if I can get you at a 5% interest rate? Are you going to buy? Yes. Well, here's the math behind that.
Right.
We can do it. So it's when you have people, and it's not to say that a newer agent isn't a great agent. As long as that newer agent understands what you're saying, Harry, and it is having a background behind
Renee,
a team.
whether you're on your side of the table or our side of the table, it's all together. People have to work harder, and they have to do more math now because, you ready? The success is in the math. If the math works, then it works. If it doesn't, you got to move on to something else. But what? Loan officers, I'm going to do the whole lending and real estate community a service right now with this next statement. You got to work harder. If you're not sitting down and doing the math on all the options that people have, buying down rates, paying points, seeing and taking the division and dividing the payback into how many years you're going to be there, okay, you got to work harder for your client, period. That's it. You have to work harder now because times are different. Rates aren't going from 4.5 to 3 where you say, okay, you're just going to save $150 a month. Okay, you're going to do it or not. You better sit down and present your client, whether you're on my side of the table or the seller side of the table, whatever side of the table you're on, you got to do the math for people or else you're just not working hard enough for your client.
Education is free. And when you're working with the right people, you're going to be educated because the one thing that the demographic between 25 and 35, that's 45 million people that are entering the buyer's market. And they are really good at, they have their college degrees, but that if you look at the statistics, financial literacy is not their strong suit. They're not understanding mortgages. They're not understanding 401ks and things like that. So these are the things that we will sit down with you. We will break it down to make sure that you understand because not every lender is the same. And you get caught up in what's your rate, because they don't know what other questions to ask. So we're answering questions they don't even know they wanted to even answer.
Strategy.
So yes,
They
for
need a
sure.
strategy.
So you're listening to the Hardcore Mortgage Show. You got Renee in the house. Keep it right here. 97.1. We'll be right back.
Alrighty, welcome back. One more time, our last segment here, and keep it here all day long. Of course, sports follows us. Pat Caputo will be in the house. Well, we'll be taking your calls this last segment, 248-539-9797. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. I'm Harvey Freed, Becky Ely, John Colbin, Harry Glanz joins us, of course, our guest panel here. We include Renee Lacia. She's fantastic. Keller Williams. She's a well-known commodity all over Southeast Michigan, and that office has been jamming for several times. I was in there a couple weeks ago in the Birmingham office, and I know you guys got the new office rolling there on Telegraph, so lots to talk about still. Just a quick reminder out there is our W-2s will be rolling in. Your CPA, your business, your accounting firms, those CPAs, W-2 forms, they're all coming on January 31st. They are due, and if you are self-employed, 1099, Becky, these self-employed folks, they got to get their taxes done. They got to get them registered and filed with the IRS. Again, there are different types of mortgages out there, and sometimes we only need, Becky, 1 year of your tax return. 2022 might have been a better year for a lot of self-employed people than the previous two.
I'm almost betting it's been a better year considering COVID, depending on what their occupation is. But this is the key time that if you are thinking about buying a home within the next year, even 2 years from now, this is when you need to reach out and have the conversations with the professionals, because we can help you analyze what your income was in the previous years and what you need to show on paper to help you achieve that goal. Because as a business owner, the tax code favors you. I understand that. You can write off everything under the sun and still do your things, but there's different things. But when you're trying to buy a house, you have to show it on paper. It has to be documented. There's certain things that you can add back, like depreciation, depletion. So it's getting that team in place, like we talked about before with Renee. It's your CPA, your accountant, your real estate attorneys, your real estate. Everyone comes together for the right reasons, and tax time is the best time to reach out ahead of schedule, so that way you're not falling in love with that house and realize that you do not qualify because you wrote off just a little bit too much.
Right. I love what Becky just said, because it's not, Harvey said, maybe 2022 is going to be the better year to get your tax returns done because we can use those. What happens if 2022 is not the better year? Well, guess what, self-employed people? We need to do something before you file tax returns then, because we're going to use 2020 and 2021 at that point, because 2022 isn't complete yet. And that's okay, because so that's where the analysis comes in, that we take a look at what you've got going on. I've done this with so many professionals where we've started in November, December, and said, okay, what are you planning on doing? What do your numbers look like for your upcoming tax year? Okay, shoot, let's get something done before you file your tax returns, because if we file that tax return, that's the new norm, right? If you went from making $100,000 in 2021 and you're only going to show $50,000 in 2022, we can't average that. We got to use the lower of the two. We have to use the current year $50,000. So we might want to do something before you file your tax returns. Or if you have some planning that you can do with your CPA, where you can, figure out how to file your 2022 to get us to the income that you're looking for legally, then let's do that. Let's plan an attack.
And that's the strategy. I think what we've been really talking about in so many different ways today is strategizing around your situation, and don't wait to create that strategy.
Yeah.
Getting that team together, getting the right mortgage, getting the lenders that are going to give you all of, like John and Becky and Harry and Harvey are talking about, having that ready, and then having your agent, and you collaborate with that, and you create the strategy behind it. How long do you need? Can you buy before you sell? Do you want to sell and then buy? What do we start looking for? What is the price parameters? Is it down payment? Is it going to be, your monthly payment? All of those things. That's what make and break business, people that really navigate this process in the best way for their clients, is getting in front of all of these things and having that team and having that strategy behind what you're looking to do. So if you're thinking about getting into, hey, I'm waiting for the spring market, I'm going to wait till March, I'm going to wait till April to start looking. This goes back to the first thing you asked, Harry. Start now, get your strategy in place. Mm-hmm. You can update it as you go if the interest rates change, but understanding and having that all in your hands to know before you start moving, get it done now.
Raise your gaze.
It really helps. It really helps having all of us in this room, because I like to sit back and listen, because you know what? I take it for granted that people know these kind of things. I mean, we do this several times a day, every day, 365 days a year. People don't know that they need to get their stuff in order. They need to collect their documents now for doing their taxes, which is April 15th, okay? They need to know these things. We take it for granted because we just think everybody does it, and they know where they have a file with all their documents. They just upload it to us and see you later. And it doesn't work that way. People need to be counseled, and we need to be in an advisory capacity and help people out. So Becky and I, we have a saying, we said it on the podcast, we're not selling anything. We're helping. Don't sell, help, advise, counsel. Be an advisor for your clients in any industry. Don't come off salesy. If you're salesy, forget about it. We don't get paid, and we don't get paid for taking applications. Renee doesn't get paid for writing purchase agreements. We only get paid when our clients close on houses and they're happy. Okay? That's how we make money. We don't get paid, but there are companies out there that they get paid for taking applications. They don't care how it's done.
Right.
Okay? They don't care if you close. Sure, they want you to close, but they get paid anyways. Believe me, it happens out there. We are only satisfied when you close on a transaction. That's how it works.
Well, I mean, I'm sure Renee, like, you probably don't even want to know what Renee expends on her listing clients to make sure that they are shown in the top of mind. So there's money that we're expending in advance just to make sure that you are being shown in the best light when you're writing these offers. And part of that goes to this upfront work that we do behind the scenes, what Renee does behind the scenes. And something I want to kind of get into is we're a national lender, Capital Mortgage Funding. We're licensed in all 50 states, but we're also very hyper focused on the markets that we are devoted to, which is, in this case, we're located in Michigan, but we can, if you want to move to the Carolinas, we can facilitate that because we're going to go where you grow, right? But I wanted to hear from Renee as far as being hyper focused. So you can look at things on a national level, but it's really important to really get on that micro level of what cities are you talking about specifically that we think are going to go in which direction.
And that is what it's all about right now, Becky. The reality is we are listening to national trends, the national market, the Fed, the national. That's great as a whole, but it is not specific to your local market. If you look at the trends, specifically what people should all be looking at, wherever you are in the country, don't be worried about buying or selling. If you're looking at the federal or national numbers and, whatever news media you listen to, look at your trends. Get an expert in your area that can say, hey, look, for the last 20 years, this is what's happened here. This is going to be a relatively safe place to buy, even if we're looking at things fluctuating. We talked about this at the break. Look at Florida, for example. Florida's got no hit or no adjustment made. In fact, there's continuing to be a demand that cannot meet its, supply. And so the other part of it is same with you, certain areas of Metro Detroit. So every area has those specific locations. So be hyper-focused on your local market and not the national news. That's going to tell you more about what you should be doing, and that goes back to having your team.
And we just talked about this on two podcasts ago, right? Yeah. About how many homes were for sale in Huntington Woods versus how many homes were for sale in Royal Oak. Across the street from each other, 2 in Huntington Woods. Correct. And 100 and some in Royal Oak. And that's just astonishing to me. But that just leads to that community in Huntington Woods. Once they're in there, it swallows you up. People don't want to leave.
We have a lot of areas like that. And that goes to supply and demand. Not every neighborhood is created equal. Not every area is created equal. So you want to make sure that you understand where you're buying and selling specifically before you just jump on the national trend.
And you need an expert in that area, I would tell you. Somebody that really eats, sleeps, and drinks the area, drives the neighborhoods, know the houses. When we grew up, we knew everybody in every house in our neighborhood, right? Mm-hmm. There's still people that know everybody in every house in their neighborhood. All right, that doesn't change. And to find an expert that is willing to put in the time and do the work. Remember, do the work and work for you. Certainly, you need an expert, and I feel very passionate about it. And again, I might take it for granted, but when I'm surrounded by experts, it really makes me feel good and it fills up my heart. It really does.
Yeah, and don't get your data off of advertisements.
No.
If you're getting your data off of advertisements, you're 2 weeks, a month, 2 months late. I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's like that commercial, expired.
We have ants in the house. Expired. I love that commercial.
By the time it hits the media, it's 3 to 6 months behind. And that's what people don't understand. It's not immediate information. Those trends have to be reported. So it's behind.
Well, our time has expired, Harvey and Becky and John and Renee. I mean, that's unbelievable.
All right, go get yourself some Yum Yum sauce for sure. You got to get that special sauce. Hey, it's been another version of the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. Be sure to call us at Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. We handle all 50 states. If you're buying that vacation home, definitely give us a call. And always check out Renee Lassie, of course, Keller Williams Luxury Domain. You can find her all over Southeast Michigan at her great office. All right, we'll see you next Saturday. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket.